Welcome to Connections. I'm your host, April Healy, and I'm sitting with my really good friend, Marie Joy, and she is a third-year staff member. Welcome to this set where you're not the director, but you're the actor.
Thanks. I know, it's different.
It's awesome.
It's great.
Well, so welcome. I love you, friend.
I love you too. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. I'm so glad you're here.
I know. I'm really excited to be here, to be honest.
Awesome.
It's amazing. Feel super honored, so
Thanks.
thank you.
You're welcome. So I would love to talk to you about your childhood. Can you tell us your childhood testimony?
Yes, I can. So, where do I begin? I grew up in a Christian home, and I have 3 other siblings, mom, dad, and I grew up in the middle of the woods, 40 acres, Alabama, log cabin.
Oh, log cabin?
Yeah, it's beautiful actually.
Oh,
Great-grandpa
that's
built
awesome.
it and everything, so.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's pretty great. And then, let's see, I actually did sports my whole life and then started doing theater when I was 16. Started doing creative arts then. But I was, we mentioned this, I told you this before, but struggling with depression, suicide actually my entire life. And also on the record, my parents are amazing and have actually changed a lot. And my relationship with them is amazing now.
That's good.
But it definitely growing up as a child, it was very, very scary. And it was a world of chaos and a world of fear. So by the age of 13, I pretty much had premeditated my suicide and was like, why live in a world like this? This is horrible. And
because you had so much pain.
I had a lot of pain. Yes, our whole family was falling apart actually at that point, and it was very traumatic. Lots of things were happening, and I thought my parents might get a divorce. So it was just one of those things. So I had a knife. I was ready to go.
Wow.
So it was very scary, but I actually don't remember why I didn't go through with it.
Jesus.
It was Jesus. Like, I didn't have an actual encounter at that point, but for sure something stopped me. And then within the next couple of days, my dad had this crazy encounter with God. And I'll never forget that I was sitting in the living room. He comes up to me. It was right after work, and he was bawling his eyes out. And he pulls me in a hug, and he's like, "I'm so sorry for the way I've treated you your entire life." And he was like, "Please forgive me."
Wow.
And he said that it felt like God's hand went through his heart, like into his chest, and just did something, like pulled something out. And he couldn't stop crying, and just saw his whole life flash before him, and like everything he'd done to us and the way he treated us. And I grew up, like, Dad would get very angry, and so when he'd get angry, you didn't want to be in the path, so I'd go hide. I would hide in the closet or hide in the woods, which began to manifest itself into adulthood. I didn't know how to do intimacy well, so I would hide. So from there, I started doing theater. That gave me an outlet to figure out pain. I couldn't feel pain. I was really numb for a long time. I guess the suicide depression thing, I just shut everything down because I didn't know. Pain was scary to me, and I didn't know how to handle it. Now, my dad really tried to reach out and be a father at that point and really shifted. But I didn't. I'd shut down pretty much.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I partied a lot, and I felt completely alone in that, and felt like there was a weight on my chest constantly until I was 18.
Wow.
And then Jesus radically encountered me. I actually went to church with my parents, and they were going to a different church at that time. And I don't even remember what the pastor was saying. All I remember is Jesus, just all of a sudden I cried out and I said, "Whatever is truth, whatever you are, I need help. Like, I'm so lost inside of myself. Like, I don't love, I hated myself. I thought I was ugly. I thought I was fat. I had a lot of internal hate and a lot of raging inside of me. I was very angry all the time. Like, even my siblings would tell you, like, I would blow up angry, yelling a lot. And so I'll never forget, I ran to the altar. Like, Jesus encountered me in a vision. I didn't grow up with that, actually. I grew up in a church that they taught that God didn't talk anymore. Like, he didn't audibly speak. He didn't talk to you through visions or dreams or anything, or prophecy or, speaking in tongues or anything like that. That those gifts were no longer here. So, but I had a vision of Jesus, and I felt this crazy love just wash over me, and I ran to the altar. No one was running to the altar, but I was. I was like, Jesus,
so great.
I was so undone. And for the first time in my life, I was able to cry, truly cry, and grieve something over my pain. And I'll never forget, I felt such intense, like, forgive me kind of feeling. Yeah. And all of a sudden my parents came up beside me, and they put their hands on me while I'm just losing it at the altar. And I can just feel God. I heard him say, I forgive you and I love you.
Wow.
And so that began the opening of, this is so real and it's tangible and I want this. And so I began to actively pursue God, and began to just surrender. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. So that's kind of how my testimony unfolded.
Yeah. Wow. So did you, when you had suicide thoughts and depression thoughts, did you just get rid of those immediately when you got saved and had a radical encounter with Jesus at 18, or did you have to walk through that process? It's a great
question. So many people, no one would ever know that I struggled with it, by the way.
Because now
no one knew. Yeah. And now
you're just so joyful.
Completely different. Yeah. Yes. My middle name's Joy, right?
Boom.
Boom. And to say that everyone knows, I absolutely hated my middle name. I did not see myself or think of myself as a joyful person ever. I was like, I wish I could change my name, actually.
Yeah. When you were little.
Even up to 18, yeah.
Right.
So then from that process, and to get pretty detailed in this, that I know I mentioned this to you, my suicidal thoughts would get to the point where it's like in the car, like, why don't I just ram my car into this? Or why don't I do this? And it's when I would feel intense pain that these thoughts would just plague me.
Yeah.
And especially when I felt disconnected from people. I didn't know, I literally would have thoughts that were like, if you were dead, then maybe they would actually love you then. Right. Or maybe they would appreciate you.
It makes sense when you have like a suicide spirit speaking to you.
Yes, yeah. and it feels so tangible and truth.
It does feel true, even though.
But I know it's not true,
like,
right?
Oh, that's such a lie.
That was my normal, right? Yeah. And so from 18 to 20, I still struggled with it. I began a process where God began to love me through it, and then I went to China for 2.5 months. And while I was in that process, I had a vision. And I was in an ocean, and I was a dolphin, and Jesus was a dolphin, and we were swimming in this ocean, and we were laughing. Like, I was laughing through the whole vision. It was the first time I had ever tasted pure joy.
Oh my gosh.
And I was free. Wow. And Jesus says to me in this vision, all of a sudden I hear him saying, this ocean you see, this is my gift to you. This is actually what I created for you. This is your ocean of joy. So anytime you feel scared, anytime you feel sad, anytime you have a thought, just come here and just sit and take of this ocean that I've given you.
Yeah.
And so it was a process of, I would say, probably a year after that vision, anytime I would just actively pursue going to that ocean. It's like he gave me a space to be able to change my thought patterns. And recognize that wasn't good. So I think within a year, I actually didn't even know that, I never had suicidal thoughts anymore. I don't even think that way or feel that way at all.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
So practically, what do you do when you have a negative thought come to your head and you want to fight against it?
Such a great question. Because we're all human and that happens.
Right. Especially when you've dealt with suicidal thoughts.
Yes. First of all, I have to have grace for myself. I've learned that love looks like when I have negativity or negative feelings or pain, to actually love myself really well in that moment.
Really good.
And self-talk myself and go, oh, hey, I love you.
Yeah.
And oh, you feel scared right now. That's okay. Actually giving myself permission to feel negative first, and then pointing out, okay, where is this coming from? What am I believing right now? What am I actually subconsciously thinking? And so I'll think about it and go, oh, I'm scared that that person doesn't love me. I'm scared that that person doesn't think that I'm, amazing or whatever. So I'm beginning to feel this anxiety and perform. So in that process, I stop, and I'll be on a film set. I've done this before. If I begin to feel chaos, like invading me, I will actually look at that person and be like, I need 30 seconds. Because in this moment, I need to catch it. I don't need to dwell and let this suffocate me while I'm on set. So I will stop and go, hey, what's going on?
To yourself.
To myself.
Yeah.
I will take that moment and I will listen to my thoughts. And, oh, okay, you're scared. Okay, well, let's disagree with that lie because God loves you.
Wow.
And I love you. And, like, that's enough. And this person, like, we can talk to them about it depending on where our relationship is, or maybe we need to let it go and believe the truth. And the truth is you are amazing.
Yeah.
So I actually self-talk myself in the middle of when I begin to feel chaos invading or sadness. Like, it's okay to feel sad is what I've learned.
Yeah.
So.
Really good, Marie Joy.
Yeah.
Wow. I love all your nuggets of revelation, and wow, it's just so good.
Thanks. It's been awesome.
Thanks. Well, Marie, thanks for joining us. I love having you. You're
welcome.
Such a good friend, as you know.
I know, I love you.
I love you too.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks. And you guys, thank you so much for joining us as well. I know you love Marie Joy just as much as I do, and I love you, and I can't wait to see you next time.